reaching you from Edo Broadcasting Service TV Reloaded. I am your host, Miriam Okoedion. Tonight, we will be beaming our lights on female preachers and pastors' wives. That is our searchlight tonight. You know, over the years, there's this belief that if you're a pastor's wife or a female preacher, there are some certain things you shouldn't do. But tonight, I have a very beautiful and wonderful guest in the house tonight. She's multi-talented. She is in the house tonight to throw light on some things she has delved into, even as a pastor's wife and as a preacher. Her name is Reverend Mrs. Yvonne Okoedion. She is a pastor's wife and also a preacher herself. She is also a student. I know you may be amazed at that. She's a student currently running her PhD. She is into farming. That is really amazing, I guess. She is a fashion designer. She is a proprietress. Yes, you heard me right, just for only her. She's really multi-talented. Welcome to the program tonight, madam.
Thank you very much.
Did it ever cross your mind that you're going to become a pastor's wife? Let's begin from there.
Well, from the onset, it didn't really cross my mind, I have to be honest. But among the suitors that kept coming, there was just one that was special to me. And by the time I gave my consent, I asked him, what else would you do outside preaching and outside being a pastor? And he said that's just what he wants to do. So I have to, brace up to embrace the calling. So I currently pastor with my husband in the church Redemption Grace International Ministries, somewhere at Oza, along Sakumba Road in the city.
Yeah. So he wasn't a pastor as at the time you met him?
He was, but he wasn't a general overseer by that time.
He was already a preacher?
Yes, exactly.
There's this belief that by the time when you are making up your mind to become a pastor's wife, there are some certain challenges that come with it. And now you are co-pastoring within in a large congregation.
Yes.
So what are the challenges being a pastor's wife and co-pastoring the congregation with your husband?
Well, there are a lot of challenges because you are dealing with lives, and of course in life problems are inevitable. So you are there to ensure that the congregation does not lack counsel, they don't lack direction. You are there to, preach the word of God to them, let them know that there is more to life than just giving up. And then, there are so many things, in fact, so many challenges, because you are there to assist those who are less privileged. You see to the welfare of the widows, you see to the welfare of, everyone. In fact, you are a mother to all as a pastor's wife. So just have to embrace that challenge and calling.
There's this peculiar challenge that comes with being a pastor's wife, especially from the female worshippers.
Yes.
There are some who feel or felt they are more closer to the pastor's wife, and as such, they believe every other person is serious. So they see themselves as the most favorite.
Yes.
When it comes to pastors, there are some that are more closer. So how do you deal with such worshippers?
Well, of course, that challenge is not even only when you are a pastor, it's almost everywhere. But you see, there comes a point where you know that you are a mother to these people. And then you have to approach them from that angle. You let them know that there are boundaries, to the much they can do. And then you always show them the side that you love them. You love them. And then you see how you can, work on their emotions. You work on their minds. You make them more industrious as a role model. You let them look at you, because whether you like it or not, you are being watched. And then when they look at you, you are inspiring them. There's so much. Assist them to bring out their creativity, their innovation. So when they get busy, some other things won't really cross their mind. So for those who feel they are so special, well, it depends on how it goes. But for your ability to be able to handle it with wisdom, for them not to leave, because whether you like it or not, they are just still a part of the flock. So you just have to see how you can manage it. And well, all this while, I've been trying my best, and then well, I've been forging ahead with all those challenges.
Okay, that is just one of the challenges. I was listening to a program. It was a female preacher, and she said something very striking. She said some female worshippers are into secret competitions
Yes.
with pastors' wives. Is this true?
Well, basically, it's true.
Hmm.
It's really, really true. But you see, how they perceive you as a pastor's wife matters a lot. But I, for one, if I have to use myself as a case study, I present the aspects of one who is serious-minded, one who is ready to face life at all costs, one who is dependent on, herself, that is independent of any other person, especially when it comes to finances. So most times when they see the angle at which I am approaching life, they begin to, get inspired. So you see that the avenue to which they came begins to wear out with time, and then they begin to follow the landmark that I'm, laying out for them. So that's just it basically.
I think I need to rephrase that question for you to have a good grab of it.
Okay.
Like female worshippers,
Yes.
there are some that are not too comfortable with their pastors' wives. You are wearing something, and whether the something is beautiful or not, they don't want to see it. Some may even be greeting daddy,
Yes.
and they will ignore mommy.
Yes.
I don't know if you are getting the point.
Yes. Yes.
Whatever. So this is reality. It happens.
Yes.
Because the preacher she was talking on TV that there are some worshippers, they prefer to greet daddy instead of mommy, because they are into small competitions with mommy.
Yes.
Maybe mommy is putting on something, that is our offering money, that she's using to wear that fine clothes.
Yes.
Have you ever come across such challenges?
Of
They
course.
may not say it openly to you,
So many years ago, I had a very, just exactly what you're saying. Anything I wear, she wants to wear it. Anything I put on, she wants to. Initially, she will come to me, especially when, like I told you, I'm into fashion.
Yeah.
So I always make my clothes, even the one I'm wearing now, I made it. So I will always, double the same outfit. Until the time came, my spirit just told me, why are you doing this? Holy Spirit just ministered to me that, look, this girl wants to be in your shoes. Don't you get it? So what I did was to strategically, those clothes that I made, with her, I just, gave it out to the less privileged that were in the church. People she felt won't ever, won't be in her class and all that. So when it was Sunday and she came into the church and she saw that those that she least expect would be wearing the same thing with her, she was demoralized. She felt so ashamed, and in fact, I had to beat her hands down. So there are so many ways you do these things. You just have to apply wisdom. Yes, you have to apply wisdom. They are always there. You can't remove them. They are always there. And then on your own, it also depends on how your husband patronizes them, or how he leads them on, or how he relates with them. So you just go do your homework, talk to your husband, and let him know that, look, these things are real. Because most times, of course, women, they are the ones that, push the work. They are the ones that are close to pastor. They are the ones that make the work, move. But in the midst of all that, you have to know that there are boundaries that are set that you shouldn't even, want to cross. So when you're able to handle your husband, everything will definitely be fine. So of course, with prayers.
Yes,
because you can't rule God out.
Very important. Okay, now from what you have told me about yourself,
yes,
the things you do, they are really amazing. You said you are currently a student.
Yes.
You are into farming.
Yes.
You are into fashion designing. But
yes.
you said you are not too into convention now because of there are a lot of things you have in your hands.
Yes.
So sometimes you sublet out to some other person to help you handle the commercial aspect of it.
Absolutely.
And you are also a preacher. How do you combine all these? And my viewers, the dress she's putting on, she made it by herself. Beautiful dress she made by herself. It's amazing. So how do you combine all of this?
Okay.
And you are still looking this radiant. How do you put all this together?
Okay. Well, I want to start from the onset. Ab initio, when I started this fashion aspect of my life, I wasn't this big. But as I grew bigger, or rather when I mean as I kept my duties and activities kept expanding, I had to leave it from it being so commercial to less, though I still make clothes for people, but not in a large scale. So, but there are some people that will just say, Yvonne, I need your hand on this, whether you like it or not, you just have to make it. So such I still, handle. So, like I just earlier said, presently I'm running my PhD in University of Benin in Public Administration Department. And what I see is you just have to, strategize. There's so much I'm doing. What really helps me is I'm able to, prioritize my activities. I have a scale of preference, and then I place timing, all right? So I hardly have free time. So every time has, every time has a schedule. So I follow my schedules, and I'm able to, meet up with all these tasks. All these years, especially like, let me say 10 years back, I've been fully into school, because before you become a PhD a student, you have to have your master's. I started from postgraduate, so it's not been funny. And even in the midst of all that, I was having my babies, so I was, seeing how I could scramble out my time. And it wasn't funny. Yes, it wasn't funny, but when you have a determination to get something done, place your heart on it, and you see it begin to open. And of course, I had a husband who was very supportive, and of course my children, they were also very supportive. Mommy is busy, mommy is in school, so everybody knows everything, and then they are helping me in one way or the other. So that's how I've been, able to cope. That presently, I still do make clothes, as a fashion designer, and I'm still in school. And by the grace of God, I'm going to see to the end of it. And also, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm running a school. As a proprietress, it's not easy, but you just have to brace up. You just have to embrace everything, and then you put people to work. You're monitoring them, supervising them, and of course, I still have time to, attend to my farm, at least by the grace of God. When it's harvest time, I do get money from all those things. I do get money. And then I also have time to counsel too. I'm into marriage counseling.
I was coming to that.
Yeah. So many things.
Yes, I was coming to that. As a pastor's wife, what are your duties in the church?
Okay. There are a lot of duties. As a pastor's wife, you are there to be a mentor and, of course, to supervise or to administrate. There are a lot of departments in the church, so I tend to see how I can oversee all those departments, because presently as a co-pastor, I'm also, handling the administrative arm of the church. So I see to it to make sure that everybody is, doing their own schedule of task, within the church. Then, basically, I do preach, especially when my husband is not around. He's traveling here and there, on a Macedonian call. So I'm there to handle the church to the best of my abilities. There are times when he will say, oh, this church invited me to come and preach. I'm not able to go. Please, honey, can you stand in for me? I say, why not? So I still go and preach.
After all, you signed it from
Exactly. So
you're going to occupy the ministry within.
So just like, you know, Jesus said, occupy till I come. So I'm just doing the best that I can. And I try as much as possible that in all this, I don't break down. I take care of myself. You know, I self-manage myself. Because if you break down, a lot of things would, go the other way. So I try as much as possible to mind my health and mind everything that, happens with me. Because I still have time to pray to God and all that.
In the midst of all these activities, where is the place of the home? You have not said anything about the home. How do you manage the home?
Normally, of course, after the day's work, I retire home. I try as much as possible, at least latest 7 or 6, I'm home. And what I do, like, of course, I'm a mother and also a wife. I try as much as possible to do bulk cooking, because I might not be having the time to be cooking fresh food all the time, especially when you have a refrigerator, which is, of course, helping me a lot. I do a lot of bulk cooking, and I just store. So what I just do is to bring them out, microwave it or warm it, however it is, and of course in no time it's ready. And then I also create time for my children, because most times, of course, these days school is not funny. They want you as a mother to attend school with your children. So I have time to call them. How was school today? Can I look into your books? What are your assignments? And then I help them. So by the time I'm retiring to bed, you're looking at about 10 o'clock, and then 4 you are up. So that's how I'm coping.
From all you have said, that journey has been so amazing.
Yeah.
Pastor's wife, young ladies coming up. There are some that they have told themselves that I can never be a pastor's wife.
Yeah.
They don't even want to. There are some that are already married to pastor, young ladies coming up. What advice do you have for them? If I say, okay, just give a counsel to the young pastors' wives out there, what will you be saying to them? They may be watching. Somebody may want to draw something, an experience from what you have gone through.
Okay. Well, I would want to start by saying you don't plan to be a pastor's wife. But fortunately, it could be that the person coming for you, that is much interested in you, and you discover that it is love, it might just be a pastor. So what will you do? I'd rather marry a pastor that loves me than to marry someone who is not a pastor, because I'm running from being a pastor's wife. So most times also I feel some of these things are predestinated for you to be in a pastor's life, or maybe you married him, he's not a pastor, and much later there is a calling. Or even you are a female minister, God calls you, it's the same thing. What do? Now you know this is what you are into. You make up your mind to face the challenges that come, and of course to embrace the work. Because if first and foremost you are not a Christian, you are not a devoted Christian, you can't even play that role in the first place. So for you to play that role, you have to be close to God, you have to understand, when you read the Bible, you have, you get meanings from the Bible, and then there's an inspiration coming to you. And then you start working. Start from somewhere. You might start, maybe like in the church, you might start from the children's department, or you might start taking care of the youth or the teenagers, however it is. And then before you know it, you begin to do the much you can being a pastor's wife. As a pastor's wife, you have to be accommodative. You have to be able to tolerate a lot of things. You have to be able to swallow a lot of things and overlook. In fact, that becomes your name. As a pastor's wife, you are like the dustbin, that is somewhere at the corner where people throw trash into. As a pastor's wife, you are the footmatch at the door where people clean their mess before they enter into the church. So when you know that that is your role, you have that heart to be able to accommodate, to tolerate, to teach, to train, to, just be there. So that's...
And there are some worshipers, no matter how you try to bring them close, because of the personal grudges they have with you. Like I said before,
Yes.
secret competitors you may
Yes.
not know.
Yes.
So because of the personal, grievances they may have against a pastor's wife, no matter how you try to bring them close, you can't just do it. So such fellows, because you are advising a pastor's wife out there, such fellows, how do you handle, how do you manage them? Will you keep pretending?
Well, like I said earlier, you just have to love them. But unfortunately, there are people you just, no matter how well you want to love them, they have made up their minds, they are not budging. What is in their mind to do is what is in their mind to do. Such people, you report them to God. You go on your knees and you could pray to God. And God has, mysteriously, God has a way of doing things. God could just, flush them out of the church. God can even make, in fact, I had a scenario whereby one was really very difficult. And I began to say, Father, do something about this young girl, because of course I can't approach you directly to, drive you or to tell you. So somehow God just made her to have issue with somebody else in the church. And at the end of the day, that one dealt strongly with her. And then she said, I'm not even coming to this church again. And she left. I said, to God be the glory. Thank you, Jesus, So however it is, just put God at the middle of everything you do, because first you even draw your strength and virtue from God. So when you put God in the middle of it all, you will definitely become victorious in everything. So and with patience too, because you can't overrule. You just have to be patient, and then of course you don't pretend. Definitely when they come to you, or when they are in your presence or your space, they will see it in your face that, look, I know what you are doing, but you see, the stronger one will win, and then they will keep trying and trying. On your own, you secure your husband, you secure the other members of church as much as you can, and then you leave that person for God, and before you know it, God will just intervene.
Let me take you back a
Yeah.
bit. There's an aspect we've left out,
Yes.
the aspect of the school. We
Yes.
didn't touch there at all.
Oh, okay.
How do you manage the school? You have said something about the fashion designing stuff. You have said something about your farming. You have said something about the co-pastoring the church with your husband. But owning a school, we did not touch that aspect at all.
Yes.
So how do you manage it in the midst of all this stress and all? Being a student yourself, you are a mother, you are a pastor's wife, you still preach on Sunday and all. So the school aspect of it, who manages it for you? You manage it yourself?
Okay, well, that school started 7 years ago. And,
7 years.
yeah, 7 years now. And I put people to do the work. But in the mornings, I'm there to make sure that the teachers are in place. And if there is any issue coming up, they report to me. And then I, suddenly still go around the whole classes to see if everybody is okay and all that. So at times there are students who have, like physical challenge with understanding a particular, topic or something. I take them to my office. I personally teach them. I could take them like 3 days or 4 days, So as busy as I am, at times I still squeeze out time to take lectures too. It's just for you to arrange. 24 hours for me is a whole lot. So, but some people feel it's not, enough. It's a whole lot for me, because in as much as I'm busy, I still have time to go through the net. I still have time to, upload videos and, watch videos and all that. So it's all strategy. You strategize, you have a to-do list, you have a reminder, then you are able to prioritize and arrange your time. So that's exactly. At times some teachers are not present. I go into the class, I take the chalk, and I write on the board, what was your last class? They will tell me, okay, all of you bring out your books, this is the topic for the day. And I take that class. At times I take it the whole day. When they close, I retire back to my office. So that's how.
You know what, Reverend Mrs. Okoedion, that will be a discussion for another day. Like my
Right.
producer just said, we are going to come to your place with a camera.
Okay.
And that will be solely commercial.
You are
We will
welcome.
video everything you do, then you will pay us.
You are
You
welcome.
understand? So because you have so much on your table and in your hands already.
Yeah.
Okay, now, do you consider a failure as an excuse? Is there any reason to fail as a pastor? Because there are some pastors who just believe, oh, we are only restricted on the altar. All I can do is to just stay with my husband. And here you are a pastor where you are into so many things. Is there any excuse to fail as a pastor's wife?
There is no excuse. There is no excuse. You see, when you are lazy, you are lazy. I am not a lazy woman, so there is no excuse. Even Romans 2, verse 1 says, "Oh man, thou art inexcusable." You don't have any reason why you should be lazy. Please put in your best. You are creative, you are innovative. Let the world know who you are. Let the world feel your impact, and let them know that indeed there is somebody who is there to embrace, whatever it is that, he or she is determined to do. So that's just it. There's no excuse.
To fail.
Put in your best. Many women are just there, lazy in a way, and they are not, innovative. They're just there. Time is flying.
All
Engage
right.
the time.
We stop it there.
Okay.
Time is flying. Be innovative. There is no excuse to fail. As a pastor's wife, you heard it all. She's all encompassed. She's into so many things. You don't have any reason to say because you're a pastor's wife, that is why you are failing. And that is all we can check today on EVE. On behalf of the Director of TV Service, Mr. Fred Emokbai, my producer, and Mrs. Lizzie Ovo, and the PDs on duty, Engineer Amazing. These are the amazing people God has positioned on my way to be, a form of guidance as far as EVE is concerned. I appreciate you all. Same time next week we'll be here again to bring you another exciting topic. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.